Hey guys, tonight we walk where lullabies split the sky like old paper and the wind returns humming tunes no mother ever taught. The tale is not soft, and neither is the voice you'll hear, though it once came from the lips of a child swaddled in red. You probably won't survive this, but isn't that the point of stories like these? To press your ear against the scream and listen anyway. So, before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. Where's everyone listening from? Drop your city and local time. Let's see who still hears the tune when the sky starts humming. Now, dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum. And let's ease into tonight's journey together. The cradle is made of bone, not shaped like bone made from it. Rib by rib, it forms a tight oval like a hungry mouth just waiting to shut. You find it alone in the center of the ruined sanctum, a cathedral with no ceiling, only sky cracked like dried blood above. The wind moves in slow pulses. Not a breeze, but something breathing overhead. Inside the cradle, ashes. Pale gray at the edges, charred black in the center. But you can still see the shape she left behind, curled fetal. Tiny fingers pressed to lips that must have sun before dissolving. Her outline smolders with warmth no fire deserves. They say she was born singing. That the midwife never made it out of the birthing chamber, only the song did. It echoed through the holes like incense, curling through keyholes and under doorways, seeping into scrolls, skin, and sky. Her mother didn't scream. That's the strange part. She only stared straight ahead as the ceiling above her cracked with a thunderclap no storm had earned. Those present say her body folded like parchment afterward, quietly, obediently. What remained roses ash in the girl's first breath. You touch the cradle because of course you do, and it creaks. More harp than lyre, carved from his own ribs. The child coos, the sound rattles the candles. To go out, the priest's eyes blacken. No one intervenes. In that moment, the room tastes of burnt copper. It's in your mouth now, isn't it? Outside the cathedral, 1,000 birds take flight, except they aren't birds. The shape's all wrong, wings too many, movement too fluid, like ink swarming up through the sky, answering something ancient. Because that's when she sang. Her first lullaby was no lullaby at all. It was invocation. They kept her hidden. After that, deep in the monastery of withered tongues, behind words written in vanished vowels. The monks were required to replace their names weekly, lest she learn them. She spoke only once in 7 years, and that sentence split the floor beneath her so, dropping 3 monks into a pit that hadn't existed prior. Her cradle was finally burned, or so they claimed. But you know better, don't you? You've seen the ribs preserved behind that glass case in the vault museum beneath the crown citadel. You've noticed they're arranged in a circle. You've read the placard, remains of a false relic, singing bowl of Saint Ilthrid. But it doesn't explain why the tour guide hums between exhibits, or why the soundproof vault's door is scorched around the hinges. The lullaby lives on. It doesn't need her mouth anymore. Recall the nursery rhyme whispered during storms in the western cliffs. Ashes hum and bones remember. Name her once, forget forever, a warning, or a verse. Much like your situation now, isn't it? Because when you entered this place, this hall of forgotten breath, you didn't check the sky. And the sky is listening. Asterisk, asterisk, section to asterisk, asterisk. You step back from the cradle, but it follows you. Not physically, it doesn't lurch after you on hidden wheels or rise up on skeletal limbs. No, it follows like breath fog on glass, like a tune you thought you forgot. Every step you take echoes with the same for descending notes. You hum them without meaning to. One of the stones beneath your foot pulses worn. The cathedral's remains widen as you move. Its broken pillars like teeth worn from gnawing on centuries. Some are capped in old gold leaf, some burned to slag. There are benches still, though none are upright. Everything in this place has settled into worshipful collapse. You remember the stories they whispered in the Vale of Quiet Fathers. That if you stand alone where a cradle once lay, The blood in your mouth turns to wine and then to ink and then to song. It starts with humming, always. You're humming louder now, aren't you? She was never supposed to live. That's what the scroll of veiled judgments said, one of the forbidden texts etched on sheepskin with salt water and soot. The kind of scroll no scholar touches with bare hands. The kind of scroll that stains gloves from the inside out. It described her arrival as an unsung summons, a phrase found only once more in all the archives, carved into a cliff face that later crumbled into the sea. That scroll vanished shortly after the lullaby broke the sky. Coincidence or consumption? The Black Psalm of Vorther mentions her differently. It calls her *him that walks *, and warns that when breath leaves bone and names return to ash, she shall hum the gates open. Gates, plural, not 1, not 2, 7, precisely. No living scholar agrees on what they are or where. But dead scholars, their bones rattle when you ask. You pass a reliquary now. It shouldn't be here. It was moved after the collapse. Everyone knows that. And yet here it is, nestled into a pocket of darkness under the southern arch. Glass smeared, candles melted to stubs, behind it, an open book. A hymnal, the cover is leathered skin, stitched in a spiral. You don't open it, it opens itself. Pages flutter backward in jerks, then land still on a page already wet with some clear fluid that smells faintly of almond and something worse. The notes aren't written in ink, they're etched. Not into the page *** into your teeth. ***, you can feel them vibrating in your molars. Somewhere, high above where the sky once held itself together, something responds. The clouds shift wrong, not wind in tension. Do you notice how the candle beside the book flickers against gravity? Do you notice how your shadow now has ***to **** heads? One hums, the other weeps. Remember the tale of Bishop Eric, the man who tried to silence the lullaby. He entered the sanctum with lead in his ears and salt in his mouth. He lasted for steps before his shadow left his side, stretched tall against the cathedral's wall, and started singing for him. They say his body remained whole, but his soul joined the choir. This is where it happened. Right where you're standing now. His bones were never recovered, but his echo repeats every 13th night, always from behind you. You hear nothing now, true, but wait. The cathedral knows patience and hunger. Have you noticed the dust on your boots? It smells faintly of lilac and singed flesh. That's not metaphor, that's residue. The kind the ink hunters of Ruth would scrape into files and feed to prisoners to hear their forgotten crimes. Your boots are leaving no prints. You're not moving through this place. ***, it's moving around you. ***. And in the distant rafters, or where rafters should be, you swear something swings, not from a rope, but from sinew. No eyes, no legs, just a mouth stitched shut, yet still open enough to exhale a fragment of lullaby in a child's voice. The words are lost, but the meaning is ***, invitation, ***. Don't answer, not yet. You have so much more to remember. You take a breath, but the air is wrong. It isn't stale, it's practiced. As if the cathedral rehearses each breath like a dying god forced to remember life. The dust doesn't settle, here it hovers, swirling in slow, deliberate patterns that mimic the stroke of forgotten quills. Something here is writing you, and still, her lullaby echoes not in sound, but in temperature. Warmer when you forget it, cold when you don't. Beneath the shattered choir loft, where the moonlight fails to touch, lies a pit rimmed with rusted iron and gnawed wax. The wax isn't from candles. It smells of beer and bile and ... childhood. You recognize it. Not because you've smelled it before, but because it recognizes you. The pit is deeper than its size suggests. You lean forward, drawn not by curiosity, but obligation. The scent of ash and rosewater rises, and a thin thread of song uncoils like steam. It wraps around your tongue. Do not hum back. Instead, listen. The lullaby is changing. Once, the melody was gentle, meant for cribs and quiet deaths. Now it stutters, jagged, interrupted by clicks like bones snapping into sockets. The tempo is off, not human, almost mechanical, like something learning how to mimic comfort but still getting the limbs wrong. They say the girl who sang it if she was a girl was born in a chapel no one remembers building. Not consecrated, not marked, just there. In every kingdom's forgotten corner, the kind of chapel you find on no map but every nightmare. She wasn't born crying ... she was born humming. That first note cracked a crow clean in half. The midwives bled from their ears. Only one lived, but she forgot her own name and answered only to ossuary. The church refused to bury her. Earth rejects things that carry the lullaby seed. You feel movement near your wrist. It isn't a touch, it's recognition. A sigil long since faded. Begins to sting beneath your skin the one they said was just a birthmark. It pulses now, in rhythm with the hum. Not yours, hers. You step back from the pit, but something inside it doesn't follow. It waits, it remembers. In the arch above, fragments of stained glass vibrate. The image used to be a martyr holding a sword. Now it holds a mirror, and the mirror doesn't show you. It shows your mother, sleeping, mouthing the lullaby. She never learned it, you know this, and yet her lips move in time. The Black Psalm of Vorther speaks of mirrors that lie only to the innocent. Are you innocent? The question hangs between you and the glass. It does not blink, neither do you. You whisper a single line aloud, not knowing the language. Not knowing what it costs, but the cathedral answers. Somewhere behind the altar now collapsed into bone ash comes a click, then another. Like knuckles cracking in prayer, and then the first of the 7 locks. It doesn't open, it exhales. A gust of cold, damp with salt and iron, rushes past. It tastes like rain and long-kept secrets. It smells like parchment and placenta. This isn't weather. This is the memory of the sky breaking. A fragment of the lullaby hums in your mouth again. The pit behind you joins in, somewhere. Something hears that harmony. You aren't alone. Not now. Not ever again. The lullaby won't leave your throat. Even when you try to speak to test your own voice, just to be sure it's yours, the only thing that comes out is a note, not a word. Not even a sound you recognize, a single, bone-pale vibration that coats the inside of your teeth with frost. You swallow it, and it swallows you back. You step away from the pit, and the shadows adjust, slightly delayed, like they weren't expecting you to move so soon. They follow reluctantly, dragging their feet across the cathedral stones, as though they'd grown fond of your stillness, beyond the altar. The path forks, a stairwell winding downward into the crypt, and a narrow door carved from black wood, its handle coiled with hair too fine, to long to be from anything but a child. You hesitate, but only once. The door opens with a whimper. Not the wood, the door itself. Down the hall, paper flutters, not scattered performing. Each parchment page nailed to the stone as if crucified mid-breath, flapping in a wind that doesn't exist. Some have blood, some have ink, most have both. You see names on them dozens. Some familiar, one is yours. You don't remember ever signing anything. The corridor narrows as you walk, forcing your shoulders to hunch. A trick of the stone. Perhaps the architect was blind. They say worked only by candle smoke and voice alone. His blueprints bled, the walls followed. The children's bones lined the floor here, tiny vertebrae arranged like sawn lines, curling in patterns only the very old or the very damned might understand. They whisper as you pass, barely audible, but they speak your name with terrifying confidence, a reminder. The dead often know more about you than the living. You try not to look down, but the bones move when you don't. One set clicks together and rolls like dice. The result, for vertebrae stacked like a pillar, they tremble, then fall apart again. You don't ask what number they were trying to show. Further in, the walls bleed scripture, not ink, not paint, actual blood, congealed into glyphs older than tongues. The smell is wrong, sweet, almost like a mother's breath during a fevered lullaby. You smelled it before, in a dream that ended with your teeth on the floor. Here, at last, stands a statue. She has no face. Just a veil made of eyelids, stitched together with something that squirms. Her arms cradle a bundle, a baby, no, a book. Its pages writhe beneath its binding, which is stitched from skin the color of thunderclouds. The cover pulses. You approach. You shouldn't. But you do. The moment your fingers graze it, everything pauses. The hallway stops breathing. Even your heartbeat stalls, held hostage by the book's attention. And then, now the bones lie in formation. You're surrounded. Not trapped, not yet, but chosen. The Black Psalm of Vorther mentions a passage called the Bone Choir, whose melodies were said to resurrect not the dead, but the memory of their pain. Is that what this is? You whisper your name again, half a test, half a plea. The bones answer in harmony, and then something behind you answers in kind. Not in sound, but in movement, a pulse from the corridor you left behind. Something has begun to follow. It doesn't step, it flows. It remembers the lullaby, and it remembers you. The sound it makes is not a growl, it's breathing but inverted. Like lungs exhaling in reverse, pulling the air from the corridor, from the chapel, from you. The candle at the far end sputters and dies, though you don't remember lighting one. You're already moving. The book in your hands pulses once, and then still sated. For now, you tuck it into the folds of your coat, where it presses naturally against your ribs like a second, hungrier heart. The bones you step on don't crack, they hum. Each vertebrae thrums beneath your feet with the pitch of a dying choir boy's note held far too long. The same melody as the lullaby, the same cadence. You hear words forming in the hum now. Not your name this time, not yet. This time it's hers, the Queen's. Not the reigning one, the first, the one who sang to the sky so sweetly it fractured, and from that crack poured something else. The archivists call her Mother Harmonic, but only in ink, never aloud. They say her tongue still sings through the mouths of crows. If you cut their beaks just right, you wouldn't. But someone did. The corridor leads into a round chamber. You know it instinctively, archives. 100 desks, all facing inward, all empty stacks of paper crowd every surface. Not book sheets, loose leaf, whisper thin, many written on both sides, many blood-stained, many still wet. Their breathing paper doesn't breathe, but this one exhales, long and low. Like it's just noticed you, you choose a desk arbitrary, though not really. You sit, and the moment you do, the desk binds you. Not ropes, not chains. Memories, not yours. Your arms freeze. Your fingers twitch of their own volition. A quill rises inkless, yet bleeding black hand begins to write. Her lullaby cracked the sky. You don't remember thinking the words. They come unbidden. Like blood from a reopened wound, you feel your mouth move, miming the song. A language older than memory, the quill scratches on. Another line, the sky replied, but it spoke in bones. One of the archivists appears then, or rather, something wearing an archivist's robes. Its face is bandaged every inch, and the cloth whispers as it moves. The whispering is layered hundreds of voices, overlapping, contradicting. You try to stand, you don't, not because you're bound. Because you're not finished, the quill's not done, and neither are you. The archivist reaches toward the parchment, holds a finger over the ink, not touching, just sensing. It sighs through its wrappings, in correct meter, it says. Its voice is like sand through a skull. You try to correct the line. You fail. The quill bleeds wrong. The paper smokes. The archivist shakes its head, or maybe its bandages too. There are consequences, it says, not unkindly. Just inevitably, it places a candle on the table. A black flame dances in silence. The wax drips up. You ask or try to what the candle is for. The archivist doesn't answer, but the flame nods. And the air gets thicker, warmer, more infantile. Like the breath of a nursery before the crib stops rocking, something is returning. You feel it in the quill now, which no longer writes but carves. The parchment yelps, it feels. And now, at last, You see them carved into the walls, names dozens, all ending in the same last syllable. Lorian, Kissin, you recognize one. Your grandmother's lullaby ended with it. You hum it now, without meaning to. The archivist nods. You've earned your first page. It says, it doesn't say what that means. But the page in front of you folds in half, then again and again, until it's small enough to slide under your fingernail, which it does slowly, painlessly. But not without ... sensation. You are a part of the archive now. You're afraid to ask how many pages they plan to use ... The archivist vanishes into a whisper, and something behind the door you didn't notice unlocks. The unlocked door is made of softwood birch, maybe, or something pretending to be. You push it open, but it opens itself too. A courteous gesture from a place that no longer needs to pretend it isn't alive. Inside, a nursery. No dust, no time, everything preserved in the amber of unease. You know it's a nursery because of the toys, though no child you've ever known would have chosen these. A cradle carved from jawbones, rocking horses with spines for reins, stuffed animals whose seams weep the stuffing slowly, rhythmically, like breathing, and then there's the music box. You don't see it, but you hear it immediately, a lullaby, half hummed, half played by unseen fingers. Notes fall like teeth on porcelain. The tune curls in your ear like a finger that shouldn't be there. You recognize the melody again, the same one from the corridor, from the carved names, only now it harmonizes. There's a second voice beneath it, lower, resonant, male, neuron beyond male. Something that remembers being human but no longer finds it useful. The toys begin to move, not much. A twitch of a puppet's hand, a tilt of the doll's head. The spinning top spins without being touched, its shadow spinning the opposite way. You blink. The cradle is full now. There's a baby in it. You don't approach. You're not that foolish, but you do notice this. It's not crying, not breathing, just waiting. Its mouth moves in time with the lullaby. And there's blood on the blanket, but only on the inside. You remember a line from the Screaming Psalter, a book banned from every cathedral with more than one bell. The first queen sang to heaven, and in response, it gave her a child that could not die, only listen. This child listens. Its eyes never open, but you feel them open behind your ribs. Your fingers twitch again, phantom cool movements. You've written lullabies before, not in this life, but the hand remembers. There's a book beneath the cradle. You crouch, hesitantly, not daring to look into the child's face. You don't, because there's no face. Just stitching, very clean, very fine. The book under the cradle is bound in blue leather, slick and damp with something thicker than water. Its title is embossed with pin-sized teeth. Songs for the Unweaned Dead. You open to the first page. The handwriting is yours. It always was. You don't read, you recite. The words come out like breath underwater, bubbling and strange. The music box slows to match your tempo. Something in the ceiling weeps. The dolls all tilt their heads in sync. One speaks, you're not sure which, maybe all of them, maybe the room. You made a promise, it says, it's come due. You feel it in your spine, then a little tickle. Like fingers drumming up the vertebrae from tailbone to skull. Something's climbing you, you stand. Abruptly, the lullaby cuts off. The cradle's empty again, but your back is heavy. The book you opened is now gone. You feel it beneath your shoulder blades, bound to you, and it's humming, just slightly. You touch your back and feel stitching ... fresh. You're the cradle now, the voice says. Walk well, you leave the room, not running, that would be rude. The door shuts behind you, no sound. But a heartbeat follows, yours and something else's. The hallway outside the nursery is longer than you remember. It stretches a corridor that feeds on footsteps, rearranging itself between each blink. Portraits line the walls, none older than 10 years. All children, all silent, you recognize a few. One nods, another winks, they shouldn't move. But here, shoulds are prayers left unanswered. The eyes follow you again, more polite than the nursery's toys, but more knowing, as if they've seen what sleeps between your bones now, the book. You feel its presence with every step, stitched to your back, bound in lullabies and promises whispered before language knew shame. The next room yawns open before you can deny it. Not a door, just a change in the air, a scent, mildew and secrets. You step into what must have once been a study, except the shelves don't hold books anymore. They hold faces, pressed flat, preserved in wax and silence. Each one stares outward from its little alcove, skin stretched tight like parchment, eyes closed in an expression to come to be peaceful. Some smile, others do not. A desk dominates the room's center. On it, a blueprint. You shouldn't know how to read it, but you do. It's a map of Harrowgrave's lower halls. Corridors, forgotten chapels, a submerged wing titled only the womb. Scrawled notes litter the margins, written in looping, sleepless ink. Do not wake the archivists. They still remember the children's names. Ink must be taken warm. The song loops backwards in the south stairwell. Let it, and finally, the architect was a child. That line repeats. Scribbled again and again, every time in a different hand. 37 times total. The air smells of candle smoke now, though none are lit. You glance up. A chandelier drips wax onto the floor in rhythmic pulses, but no heat, no flame. The wax spells letters. You read them slowly. BLOW. The desk groans softly. You touch the blueprint's corner, and it sticks to your fingers, not glue, something wetter. The map absorbs your fingerprints, redrawing the paths with your touch. Rooms appear that weren't there before. One flickers into existence beneath the chapel, named Mother's Mouth. You don't ask, not aloud, but something answers. A whisper rises from the wax-dripped floorboards, muffled by dust and age. She remembers your hum. Your breath broke her bones open. You don't know who she is. You don't want to, but you'll go anyway. That's what Harrowgrave does. It makes you curious, then makes you remember. You fold the blueprint. It folds itself. The moment it leaves the desk, every face on the shelves opens its eyes. You don't scream. You nod. One of the faces mouths a word. Down, another adds, bring back the song. You back out slowly. No sound, no breath. As the room recedes behind you, so do the faces. Eyes close again, but you know they watched you. And some of them wept. The hallway tightens, stone crowding closer like ribs. And then the stairs find you, worn, uneven, cracked with age and ash. They spiral downward, swallowing light. Something breathes at the bottom, not heavy, but patient, a child's sigh. You begin your descent. You hum, without realizing, the same lullaby, the one that cracked the sky. Behind you, something follows. It hums the harmony. The stairwell descends longer than the tower it occupies. It coils stone wrapped in stone like a vertebrae spiraling into the buried spine of something older than the keep itself. Every step echoes, but not yours. Your footfalls fall silent. What you hear instead is something behind the sound. The memory of steps long dead, and never yours. You count them anyway, 13 steps. Then 13 more, then 13 again, and again. Until numbers decay into dread. The air thickens. Your tongue tastes mildew and rust. The dust here is fine, powdered to smoothly bone. Not time, the walls sweat black condensation. It does not evaporate. Your candle flickers. You didn't bring a candle, still it flickers. The flame sputters against something invisible at your shoulder, something that hums just slightly off-key from your breath. You descend until the walls no longer resemble architecture. Stone gives way to cartilage. You press your hand against the curve of the passage and feel it breathe back. The corridor ends without warning. The stone floor drops into a silt-choked cathedral buried beneath the keep unmapped, and blessed, unforgotten only by what still sings. The room is silent, yet music plays. It slithers along the edges of your skull, notes hum through split lips and clotted lungs. You recognize the tune, not from memory, but from dreams you've never had. There are cradles arranged in rows across the nave. Each one rocks gently, each one empty except... No, that's not true. One cradle rocks counter to the others. You step closer. A book lies swaddled within its cover, stitched shut. The stitching is ... moist. You reach out, fingers trembling. You're not afraid, you're expectant. The book opens. Not like pages turning, more like a mouth, and it speaks. She wept ink. The scroll drank it. You are what came after. Your ears ring with silence that scrapes. The music returns. This time it's louder. And now voices, children's voices. They echo from beneath the cradle, from the cracks between pews. From within the organ pipes along the far wall, they chant a single name, yours. Not the name you answer to. The name you forgot when you came here. The cradle snaps shut. You flinch, but the motion comes half a second late, as though your fear is being observed and mirrored. The altar is ahead now, a basin carved from obsidian. It bleeds wax, and floating within, a single black tooth. It spins slowly in the wax like a compass needle. You reach in, it doesn't burn. But something changes. Behind you, the cradles stop. A shadow rises from the one nearest the door, small, frail, watching. You pocket the tooth. The wax solidifies instantly, mocking your reflection beneath its surface. You don't look back. The organ wheezes. Dust and teeth spill from its pipes. The song changes key. It knows you now. Knows your breath, your fear, your hesitation. You hurry to the side passage marked only with a blood-smudged symbol, a spiral cut in reverse. A memory surfaces. Someone sang this direction into your ears once, long ago, before you were born or after you died. The hallway yawns wide again, this time lined with mirrors. None reflect you, all reflect her, the one who sang the sky open, the one whose lullaby summoned what came through. She watches you, eyes glassy with ink and knowing. Her mouth moves, you read her lips. Not yet, but soon. A whisper in your ear. Mother's not mad, just listening. You step past her reflection and feel it brush your skin. The hallway ends in an iron door. Its hinges are moaning. So are you, so are the mirrors. The iron door groans wider, not from your push, but as if it's been waiting for you, waiting a very long time. You step through, and the door sighs shut behind you, sealing without latch or lock. You're not trapped, you're claimed. The chamber beyond is circular, stone polished by touch, by pacing, by worship. 12 columns stand in a ring, each carved with a different face. Mouths wide open in silent wails. You try not to count them, but your eyes betray you. 11 are strangers, the 12th is your own. Your carving is newer, wet at the eyes. The mouth cracked slightly wider than the others, like it learned how to scream better. A smile, no, something worse, a promise. In the center of the chamber lies a cradle of roots, grown into the shape of a throne. Something sleeps within it, something breathes. Above, the ceiling is a dome of stained glass, but not of saints or gods. The windows depict teeth, vertebrae, umbilical chains, and veins that slither between seams like vines. The central pane, a woman with a mouth instead of a face. You know her song, it's in your spine, and it's humming louder. You don't sit in the cradle, you kneel before it. The roots tighten, shiver, and part slightly, just enough for the object beneath to rise on a bed of thorns. A scroll, red vellum, still moist. Tied with a strand of hair, you reach, but the scroll opens of its own will. A single note spills out, sung by no mouth, just sound, as though the very air aches with memory. The writing within writhes, burns, then stills. Your hands aren't burned, but they are marked. Each finger bears a letter now, branded into the skin, not ink, but something darker, something that moves when you blink too slowly. You flex your hand, and the columns whisper. The faces twist, their mouths open wider, not to scream, to chant. It's the lullaby again, but reversed, unsung, and woven. It peels itself backward across the stone and blood, syllables flayed from meaning, reduced to raw sound. A child would understand it. So would something older than speech. The throne shudders. You hear bones cracking open like eggshells. Something sits up, you can't see it, not directly. The air ripples with its presence. Like a scream held between dimensions, you know it watches you from beneath your skin. Your reflection in the scroll's sheen grins. You don't. From behind the throne, a figure shuffles forward. Robes stitched from swaddling cloths, a head crowned in rusted wire and teeth. No eyes, just gouged hollows that weep like. It bends close, breathless. Then rasped, the mother read your bones. You were hollow, she filled you. Another whisper now, closer. Inside your ear, welcome back. The scroll snaps shut. The lullaby stops, every echo dies. You are alone, no, not alone. The figure steps back, drags its robes across the floor. They weep black milk. You look down, the markings on your fingers have rearranged. They now spell a name, not yours, not anymore. A door appears in the wall behind the 13th column where no column stood before. You pass through it without opening. You leave your reflection nailing. It watches you go, its eyes blink, then bleed. The corridor greets you like a throat narrow, moist with condensation, and lined in fleshy ridges masquerading as stone. The air is sweet with rot, the perfume of old offerings left to long on to many altars. Behind you, the door has gone, not closed, not hidden, simply ... erased. You could claw the wall and dig until your nails split, but all you'd reach is more of the same warm stone, pulsing faintly with a heartbeat that isn't yours. No steps echo here. The floor swallows your footfalls like a secret it's unwilling to share. You keep walking, not because you trust what's ahead, but because something behind you has begun to breathe again. There's no wind, and yet the torches flicker green flame licking upwards, not casting light but carving shadows into the opposite wall. They stretch to far, they move without cause. Occasionally, one pauses, then waves at you. The leftmost flame whispers a phrase you don't recognize. The rightmost repeats it in your mother's voice. You walk faster ahead. The corridor ends in a fork. Two hallways, identical, except one is lined with children's shoes. Left only every size, from crib soft to grown men's boots shrunk by fire. The other smells like sugar and rainwater, and the walls weep milk. Pick one. No, the air pushes you leftward toward the shoes. Toward the barefoot echo, you obey. The corridor narrows, claustrophobic now. You can't turn your head fully. You can't stretch both arms at once. Soon, your shoulders scrape the walls, and you move sideways like a worm wriggling through a burial shroud. Then a chime, soft, delicate, familiar. The hallway vomits you into a round chamber built of black glass. No seams, no supports, only the echo of your own reflection, fractured and scattered across the curved surface like a shattered soul. You are not alone. She waits on the far side. A little girl in a nightgown, paper thin, veins etched in pale violet. Her eyes are wide, pupilless. She's playing a music box, a cracked one. The melody is off by a single note. That note hurts. She looks up and smiles, but not at you, at your shadow, which is no longer yours. It turns to look back at her, nods. You're not sure what you nodded to. The girl speaks. You came from the cradle. That means you're hers. She holds out a bone. No bigger than a thumb, fresh. Still warm. This one told me your name. You don't remember giving it, but the bone hums with recognition. The child giggles. The floor beneath you ripples with heartbeat patterns. The music box stops. So does everything else. She speaks again. But her mouth doesn't move. Do you want to meet her voice? Or just her hunger? You answer, not with words. But the bone vanishes from her hand. Now it's in your palm, now you're humming. The glass walls shimmer, and every reflection of you begins to sing, not harmonizing, screaming. Each version of your face splits at the mouth wider than it should. jaw cracking, teeth reforming into glyphs you can't forget. And then blissfully dash darkness ... but not sleep, not death, just another corridor, this one made of ribs. The girl skips ahead, humming your tune. She's leading you somewhere. But you already know, you're not meant to arrive. You're meant to become. The ribbed corridor stretches endlessly, as if the bones themselves grow with each of your reluctant steps. You press your hand against one of the pale arches, and it's warm-fevered, almost throbbing gently, like the inside of a living throat. Behind you, the girl skips, or ahead of you, or beside you. It's difficult to tell now. She appears in all directions, sometimes small, sometimes tall, sometimes humming, sometimes not. You don't question it anymore. You're past the threshold of logic. The corridor breathes, inhales dust, exhales whispers. Names you don't recognize, but your bones do. One syllable makes your teeth itch, another makes your nose bleed. Eventually, you reach a chamber. Circular, again, this one lined in old cribs. Wooden, iron, bone, ash ... each one empty at first. Then, as the green glow of the unseen torches intensifies, the occupants return, not children, impressions. Smudges of faces flattened into pillows, fingers still clutching invisible blankets. Soft hums still vibrating from collapsed lungs. You count 13 cribs, you know that's wrong. There were 14, always 14. You step forward, and the sound of a lullaby, your lullaby, plays from somewhere above. It's out of tune, and yet your body remembers it. Your hands tremble, not from fear, but from memory. One of the cribs is different, newer wood, fresh nails. And in it, a doll, ragged, one I'm missing. It wears your childhood clothes, your real ones. Even the tear at the collar you got the day the wind took your brother. You reach down, uncertain why, and pick it up. Its single eye rolls, its fabric mouth opens. You left me. Its voice is your own, aged 5, another heartbeat thumps from the floor. Your ribs answer in kind. You set the doll down. It doesn't stop staring. A sudden rustling behind you, dozens of tiny feet scampering. You whirl around, no children. Just shadows shaped like them, playing games without substance. They leap between cribs, chasing silence, tagging grief. Giggling like broken wind chimes, the girl is there again. She crouches beside the crib with the doll. That's the piece you lost. She says she's angry. You want to ask who, but you already know. She sang to the sky, and the sky cracked. The girl continues, matter of fact. But something heard her, something answered. You step back. The cribs rattle. Do you want to meet it? You shake your head. Too late, she points up. There's no ceiling, just blackness. Not void, a canopy of something breathing. You hear the wind in reverse, trees growing backwards. Rivers sucking into the sky, and then a lullaby again. But not yours this time. It comes from every crib. The same tune, the same voice. Hers, the lullaby, is older than any language you know. It coils into your ears, down your spine, and wraps itself around your heart. You drop to one knee. The girl touches your forehead with 2 fingers, and you feel her write something into your skull. With cold ink, when she speaks, it's not her voice anymore. You are the final note. The walls retract. The cribs vanish. The floor dissolves. You're falling, not down, inward. Toward a place beneath memory, the lullaby follows, and so does she. You land softly to softly on something that yields like muscle soaked in sorrow. The surface below pulses beneath your feet. A heartbeat, again, but not yours. The lullaby stops. The silence that follows is not peace, it is preparation. You stand in a vast library where the shelves spiral upward like the vertebrae of a giant, extinct beast. Books sway gently on chains. None are titled, some are weeping, one gnashes its pages. You take a step, and the floor moans, ink leaks from the walls. It moves like blood, unsure of its veins, seeping upward instead of down. You notice that it avoids your feet. That's when you see it, a pedestal in the center of the chamber. Upon it, a scroll, bound not in leather, not even flesh, but in hair long, matted. Still breathing, the hair retracts at your approach, and the scroll twitches. The girl, no, the figure who once wore her shape now stands beside the pedestal. She watches you with eyes full of unwritten endings. This is where your story tries to rewrite itself. She whispers, you reach for the scroll. Careful, she adds, too late, it bites. The scroll opens of its own volition. Its language is older than symbols. It's written in memories. Yours, and hers, and something else's. You read without understanding, but your body reacts. Your fingers blister. Your teeth itch, one eye bleeds. The text reads, on the 14th breath of the motherless sky, the child below was named. Her lullaby cracked the firmament, and the world sang back in silence. A page turns itself. You try to close the scroll. It isn't yours anymore. The figure speaks again, now using your voice from Section 3S. That voice. She isn't sleeping, she's waiting. You notice the chains that held the books are now slack. The books are gone, but something moves above. You don't dare look up. You do. It's not a ceiling. It's an eye, wide, lidless, iris the color of Grave mold. It blinks sideways. The pupil contracts at your recognition. The entire library exhales. A new passage appears on the scroll. Your name is there, but it's wrong. It's nearly right, off by one letter. That letter is scratched into your palm. You hadn't noticed it before. You hadn't bled before. You're already inside the story, the figure says. She wrote you in the moment you remembered her lullaby. You blink, the scroll is gone, so is the pedestal. Now you're in a nursery again, but no cribs, only shadows looming, taller than they should be. Each shadow holds a part of your childhood laughter. A secret note, a stolen breath. You try to speak, and dust falls from your lips. You try to scream, and only lullabies come out. The lullaby cracks again. This time, the walls respond. They peel back, revealing teeth. This place isn't a nursery, it's a mouth. The figure still in the shape of a child sits in the back of the throat. Waiting, smiling, holding something, a mirror. It reflects nothing except the part of you you've tried to forget. The humming, the wanting, the part that wanted her to sing again, even if it broke the world. You made her sing, she says. Now in your mother's voice, you gave her breath. A final verse echoes from behind your teeth, and the eye above, it weeps. Its tears smell like ash and infancy. The floor becomes unstable. You're sinking into the mouth. The scroll returns, wrapping itself around your wrists, then your throat. You try to speak, and the scroll whispers for you. I was born before the sky cracked. I cracked it. You're falling, but the air doesn't move. No wind, no friction, no sound, just descent. The scroll remains around your neck, pulsing gently like a second heartbeat. It doesn't choke, not yet, it's waiting. Far below, light pulses in steady, deliberate intervals, not torchlight, not firelight. It's the kind of glow that seeps from forbidden tombs or radiates behind the eyelids of sleeping gods. And there's music again, not her lullaby this time, but something older, rougher, made of bone flutes and teeth-struck strings, a cradle song for corpses. You land on something that shifts, a tapestry, stitched together from choir robes, funeral veils, and strips of parchment inscribed with names, some of which twitch when your eyes touch them. You've arrived in what must be the choir crypt, the place where voices go when their owners are forgotten. High above, skeletal children dangle in harnesses made of braided hymns. They do not move. They do not need to each time you blink. They're closer, and then the singing begins. It comes not from mouths, but from lungs that should not exist. Hollow, rhythmic, beautiful in a way that makes your teeth ache. The melody forms a question you dare not answer. Who do you sing for? The scroll tightens. You stagger forward, and the tapestry beneath your feet peels away with each step. revealing bones stacked with librarian precision, each one engraved with verses from the blood scroll. One rib reads, "Speak her name, and your breath belongs to her." You don't remember her name. That's the trick. You only remember how it felt in your mouth. Warm, inevitable, like milk left too long under a red moon. A figure emerges from the ribbed stacks. Not her, but someone shaped by her will. A scribe, you think. Cloaked in pages sewn skin-tight, his quill fused to a ruined finger bone. He doesn't write, he listens. You're here to add your verse. He rasps, he offers you the quill. It bleeds. You back away, but the floor moves with you, ushering you forward. Behind you, the scroll hums softly, echoing the choir's dead harmony. All songs must end. Yours has not, the scribe says. This is unfortunate. Another page flutters loose from his sleeve. It lands face up. Your shadow falls across it. It reads. A single black thread descends from each wound, pulsing in time with your heartbeat. The threads pierce the rib stacks. The bones groan. The children moan in reverse. The scribe lifts your chin. His eyes are empty scrolls. You broke the lullaby's rhythm. He whispers. You must hum it back, and he presses the quill to your lips. You suck in breath and taste old ink, ash, and the memories of another youth, someone who once stood in a tower. Someone who listened to a lullaby not meant for ears. Someone who answered. The skeletal choir begins anew, and this time, you sing with them. The song escapes you like smoke through broken ribs. Each note drags a piece of you with it, memories, names, faces all slipping from your lungs as if your body has been opened from within. You don't remember when the choir boys circled you, but they're here now. Their sockets drip wax. Their throats vibrate without breath. Their hands folded politely as if this horror requires ceremony. You are singing her lullaby, but it does not belong to you. It never did. That's the joke, isn't it? That you believed yourself a witness instead of an heir. All things that shatter the sky must pay for cloudbursts, whispers the bone librarian, now kneeling beside your spine. Even lullabies, the choir crypt begins to tilt. No, that's not quite it. You're tilting, spine warping in slow increments. The floor stays perfectly still, bones shift around you, reorganizing like books in a cursed archive. Pages unfurl, names rearrange. You spot your own, not once, dozens of times. Each one different. You have been here before, not the same you. Of course, says a voice that does not echo. But close enough to matter, a crack appears down your center. Not physical, something more conceptual. You feel the division like a key sliding into a lock behind your breastbone. One side remembers warmth, the other remembers why you ran from it. The bone children murmur now, not singing commentary. Their language is all sighs and spine clicks, but the meaning is clear. They're disappointed in you. You haven't earned the scroll, not yet. The scribe produces a lantern from within his ribs. He unscrews the glass lid and tips it. No flame inside, only teeth, tiny ones, baby teeth, sharpened to points. They begin to hum in harmony with your shaking voice. Sing until you bleed truth. The scribe instructs, but the truth is the problem, isn't it? Because the sky didn't crack just from a lullaby. It cracked because you sang back. It cracked because you remembered the counterverse. It cracked because your voice didn't end where your body did. What came through the breach remembers, the librarian says gently. And it is hungry. A staircase unfolds from the ceiling. Or maybe it grows down like a fungal root. Each step is inscribed with a different word, most in languages you never learned but somehow recognize. The staircase doesn't lead upward. It loops, spirals, devours itself. Climb it, says the scribe, or be buried by song. You hesitate. The scroll tightens. You begin your ascent. The staircase weeps beneath your feet. You pass a step labeled Mother. It burns cold. You do not linger. Another response. It vibrates. Something inside your chest mimics the frequency. Then, Bloodsky, you look up. The crack in the heavens is visible again, wider now. Something pulses behind it, vast, tender, and grinning without a mouth. The air thickens with old lullabies played backwards. Each note a question you cannot answer. Your legs buckle, but your voice continues. You are singing, still singing. The choir boys applaud, silent claps that echo anyway. Behind you, the bone librarian hums a final chord. The lantern closes. The teeth hush. The hymn is complete, but you are not yet. A door appears near the top of the stairs. Covered in velvet that bleeds at the hinges, it bears no handle, only a mouth. It whispers, "Do you wish to know what answered her?" You do, but not yet. You breathe the last note of the lullaby and the scroll around your neck loosens. For the first time since you entered this place, you are allowed a single breath of silence. It tastes like ash and ink and the memory of a child's scream smothered by a pillow made of pages. You open the door. You are not alone. The room yawns wide, far wider than the architecture should allow. Its dimensions resist understanding, shifting with each blink, like you're walking through the memory of a cathedral whispered about in fevered prayers. The air is thick with parchment dust and something else, regret, perhaps burned and bottled for eternity. And at the center of it all, the bassinet, it sways gently, though there is no breeze. No draft, just motion for the sake of ritual. Woven from thorns, quails, and rosary beads strung with peeled teeth, it creaks to a lullaby you haven't heard in years, and yet your bones hum in familiarity. You recognize it, murmurs the room, not a voice, but the echo of dozens pressed into one, like pages clinging together after a flood. Not from memory, from guilt, you step closer. The air grows colder, but not in a way that touches your skin. It finds your thoughts instead, freezes your denials mid-formation. The bassinet doesn't just hold something, it contains it, like a seal or prison. Inside, a child-shaped thing, swaddled in scriptures written in blood too ancient to be human. Its eyes are closed, its lips murmur, but it isn't sleeping. You watch its breath hitch to the rhythm of your heartbeat, and then you realize it's not breathing. You are, for both of you, a low croon echoes from the rafters. The ceiling stretches, unfolds. You glimpse dozens of angels, but not the kind from holy books. These wear their halos like collars, their wings sewn shut, their mouths sewn open. They sing without rest, filling the silence with hymns so low they register only in your teeth. The bassinet twitches, a nursery rhyme slithers through your head unbidden. Lull the beast with butcher's breath, ink the air in mother's death. Cry not loud, nor blink too long, or baby sings the ending song. You close your eyes, only for a moment. When you open them again, the child is sitting upright. Not crawling, not standing, just ... rising, like smoke. Its face still covered, but its head tilts toward you. Your throat tightens, and for a flickering moment, you forget your own name. It cradles the bassinet lovingly, humming, smiling in a way that cracks your ribs from the inside. It mouths something for syllables, you can't hear it, but you know the shape of those words. You left me here, the lullaby rises in pitch. Your bones ache to join in, you do reluctantly, automatically, as if your lungs were always borrowed instruments in a deeper choir. The ink on the scroll wrapped around your shoulder begins to recede, drawn inward, consumed. You try to stop, but your body has decided otherwise. Your knees touch the floor, a posture of surrender. The child stares through you now, not at you, through, past, into the place behind your soul where unspoken names dwell. The angels above flinch in unison. Something is wrong, or more wrong than usual. The lullaby is broken, cracked, reversed, and you are the one singing it backward. You can't stop, you don't want to stop. The blood scroll wraps tighter, tighter, until it fuses with your spine like a second voice box. The child smiles slow, toothless, ancient. Now you remember, it says in 1,000 borrowed tongues, and you do, you remember the storm, the tower, the lullaby that split the sky. You remember who sang it, and why, and what it brought down. She sang for mercy, the child says, lifting its hand toward you. But you sang for release. You collapse, the bassinet shatters into shadow. The floor drops, you fall. For hours, days, or just long enough to forget, the hymn fades into whispers. The angels retreat, the scroll cools, hungry no longer for now. But the child, it doesn't scream, it follows. And it wants a lullaby. You wait where breath doesn't belong. Stone presses against your cheek, slightly warm, slightly pulsing. As if the architecture itself carries a heartbeat now, and you're nestled against its artery. The darkness is velvet thick, stirred only by the faint rustle of parchment in an unseen breeze, and then light. Not from a torch, not from flame, but from script. The walls are lined with scrolls, thousands of them, coiled tight or spilling open like unfurled tongues. Each emits a faint crimson glow, like a memory of fire left long in bone. But the light doesn't comfort, it stings your eyes, feeding images you never lived, a mother kneeling in a salt circle, singing to her own entrails. A crown forged from infant teeth, a choir of widows humming their husbands back from war. You blink once, the images remain. Welcome to the scriptorium. In the center of the chamber stands a lectern carved from vertebrae too long to be human, too curved to be safe. It hums with a vibration that makes your teeth itch. Upon it rests the Queen's scroll. The one you weren't supposed to find until much, much later. But here you are, and it opens for you. The parchment unfurls not by hand, but by blood, your blood, specifically. A thin line appears across your palm as if sliced by a forgotten oath, and each drop that falls fuels the scroll's awakening. The script doesn't just move, it writhes. The ink dances, reshaping itself until it speaks in tongues long outlawed. You read, and instantly wish you hadn't. She cracked the sky with lullaby. What came through bore her name. She fed it songs and suckled smoke until it learned to scream. The words brand themselves behind your eyes. Your mouth moves, echoing syllables you never learned. The ground trembles softly, like something massive turning over in its sleep beneath you. You look up, the scrolls on the walls. They're listening, and worse, they're nodding. And one is missing. A clear gap where dust outlines a once coiled artifact now gone, just like that. You didn't remove it, did you? The air behind you stiffens. Cold, not in temperature, but in intent. A presence leans close, just out of reach. You dare not turn around. Instead, you speak aloud because the silence has teeth now. What was the lullaby? The scroll answers in breathless ink. A promise to end a promise, a song to seal the cradle that cracked. And then the scroll changes shape again. Now it shows a map, but not of any kingdom you know. It is the outline of a skull, an actual human skull, and along its fissures are marked locations. The Eye of Mourning, the Cradle Gate, the Howl Spire, the Mouth. The final destination, the Font of Screams. Your blood draws a line along the route. It ends at the soft spot. The fontanelle of the skull map pulses as if freshly wounded. You feel your own head throb in sympathy. You reach to close the scroll, but the moment your fingers touch it, the lectern speaks using your mother's voice. You promised you wouldn't open it. Your spine locks, you step back, but your hand, still on the scroll. The scroll, now it's wrapped around your wrist. It tightens like a leech, your veins pulse darker, thicker. You hear a heartbeat, one you cannot claim. And behind it, the lullaby, reversed, mocking. Sleep now, Queen of Ash, let no sky remain unbroken. The other scrolls begin to peel from the walls. They don't flutter, they crawl, wrapping themselves around columns, slithering toward you. Growing legs of ink and script, they chant without voices. Words you cannot block from your mind, the lullaby crescendos. And your feet betray you, they walk toward the cracked door in the chamber's far wall. It opens on its own, revealing the Cradle Gate. A tower of ribcages fused together by prayer and sinew. At its peak, a cradle suspended by chains made from forgotten names. Below it, nothing but shadow. A wind stirs from within, not air, not breath. Something more ancient. Your scroll arm twitches. At once end, you speak a final question into the chamber before you leave. Why did the queen sing? A whisper answers from within your own lungs. Because she knew the sky listens, but the thing beneath it answers. The cradle creaks above, and something inside it begins to giggle. You pass beneath the cradle gate. Chains above sway not with wind, but with memory. They clink like nursery bells, echoing lullabies that shouldn't have survived the throat that first uttered them. Bone creaks like aged wood. The cradle itself rocks slowly. A grotesque nursery rotted from the inside. Stuffed animals stitched from hair and sinew sit slumped in corners, their buttons weeping resin that smells like milk left too long in sun. Mobiles overhead spin without wind, each dangling a shrunken crown, a finger bone pacifier, or a doll with no eyes and too many teeth. A lullaby hums softly now, but not from the cradle. From your own chest, you try not to speak, but your mouth betrays you, moving in sync with the airless melody, the words wet with ancestral weight. Fall asleep where skies divide. Break the bones the stars must hide. You clamp your jaw shut, but your tongue keeps moving, tracing shapes against your teeth like it's writing spells you'd rather not learn. The scroll wound around your wrist tightens again, the ink now bleeding into your veins, and the cradle above you still rocks. A figure watches from the far wall, child-shaped. No taller than your ribs, its face is covered by a cloth mask woven from grave shrouds, stitched with thread plucked from forgotten eulogies. It holds a lantern in one hand, though no light shines from its hand in the other, or rattle. You know instinctively that the rattle was once a jawbone. The child speaks without opening its mouth. You came to hear her last breath. But the queen isn't done breathing. You reply without meaning to. She cracked the sky. The child nods. And what fell through wore her lullaby like a skin. The cradle squeals above, chains pulling tighter. Something presses against the linen swaddling inside. You see the faint imprint of clothes, fingers, wings, maybe all three. Where did she go? You ask. The child tilts its head, the jawbone rattle twitching in its hand. She went inside herself, deeper than bone, deeper than name. The figure steps aside. Behind it, an iron hatch, low to the ground, etched with verses in languages that recoil from daylight. One of them pulses as you approach, an ancient tongue not spoken since the fall of the hollow choir. The queen's name burns there, backward and inverted. Your scroll-wrapped hand trembles. Then knocks once, twice, thrice. The hatch creaks open not with hinges, but like flesh being peeled from flesh. Inside, stairs, spiral, endless, the walls lined not with brick, but with lullabies written on stretched skin. You descend with each step. A new stanza bleeds into your mind. Wail not loud, for silence means. What waits below on broken knees, you whisper it once, then again. Then you stop, but your lips don't. They keep going. The stairwell narrows, the air thickens, and then you step into the nursery below, a chamber carved from marrow and song. Cribs line the walls, each containing something almost human. Creatures twisted by a lullaby sung in wrong keys, at wrong hours, to wrong gods. They knew and which, some clawing at the air, others grasping invisible mothers. One turns to you. Its face is yours. But younger and asleep, you do not move. The cradle in the center of the room is different. Massive, crown-shaped, lined with teeth. Inside, the queen, or what's left of her. Her body is smoke and bones bound in shadow ribbon. Her voice still singing echoes from beneath her ribcage, as if a second mouth hides within, and she opens her eyes. They are not hers, they are the sky's. 1,000 constellations blink at you, and the lullaby stops cut mid-note like a gasp before death. I sing, she says, voice layered with thunder and grief. And it answered, you fall to your knees. She reaches out not with fingers, but with memory. She touches your forehead while warmth spreads, like milk warming in a cradle, then curdling. And a vision overwhelms you of skies torn in half. of cities grown from umbilical cords, of lullabies that summon storms shaped like infants screaming in reverse. You see her child, not born, but summoned, not of flesh, but of lullaby. It wants the world, and it's almost here. The queen's final breath enters your lungs. She fades, leaving only smoke, cracked bone, and the echo of that unfinished note. The cradle collapses into ash, and from that ash, tiny hands reach up. The tiny hands rise from the ashes, palms facing upward, not to grasp, but to offer. You don't want to see what they hold, but you do, because something older than instinct forces your gaze downward. Each hand bears a fragment. A splinter of lullaby, a chip of memory, a petal from a flower that never bloomed in this realm. Their textures defy logic, feather soft yet serrated, molten and frozen at once, whispering in a dozen tongues even as they disintegrate under your stare. One shard hums with your name but pronounced how it sounded before you were born. You reach out. Your fingers close around a piece before you can stop yourself. It bites. Blood wells at your fingertips, drawn upward into the shard as if it thirsts. Your veins pulse in reverse. A soft wail escapes your mouth. Not yours, not human, not alone. The queen's lullaby finishes its last note. Through you, the air splits. Not cracks, splits. Like fabric stretched afar, the world above tears open. A vertical seam of starless void yawning from floor to ceiling. And something steps through. You can't comprehend it all at once. Your vision folds like parchment burned close to fire. One moment, it's a towering silhouette cloaked in swaddling cloth woven from stillborn prayers. The next, it's a crawling infant whose eyes are galaxies eating themselves. And then it is you, or a version of you that never learned to sleep. It hisses no breath, no sound, just presence. Behind you, the stairwell you descended is gone. In its place, a mobile of bones spins lazily, playing a reversed lullaby. The melody tugs at your blood, trying to rewind your age, unwind your bones, pull you back into the womb that was never yours. The child creature lurches forward. You move without thinking, stumbling deeper into the nursery below, past the ashen cradle, through a doorway made from braided umbilical cords. The walls here are damp with sorrow. Faces press from within infants, mothers, shadows all weeping silently in sync. A hallway of memory. Each door you pass bears your name. Each leads to a past that never happened, but might. One opens on its own. Inside, the nursery, yours. Only. It's wrong. The crib is too large, the mobile made of jawbones, the lullaby playing from a phonograph that shouldn't exist in your timeline. A teddy bear sits on the floor. It looks up, its face is your mother's. You shut the door, it keeps whispering. Don't let it grow. Don't let it sing again. Don't let it feed. The voice multiplies layered, fractured, echoing. Don't let it. Another voice cuts through. Yours, older, crawling with static. You already did. You run. The hallway curves, corkscrews, tightens until you burst into another chamber. The scriptorium, a cathedral of cribs and ink. Desks arranged like pews, scrolls inked in cradle blood cover every surface. A wet nurse stitched from shadows rocks back and forth, penning names into parchment that screams when written on. You hear your name being spelled, not once, but 3 times. Each in a different tongue, each pronunciation opens a new wound along your arm. You stagger toward the altar. It's made of stacked lullaby boxes, each sealed with wax and teeth. One box is open, empty, waiting. A rattle rests beside it, carved from bone, bound in swaddling cloth. You pick it up, it shakes on its own, a sound emerges. Not from the rattle, but from inside your skull. The queen's voice, but twisted, warbled, turned backward. Sleep tight, sky-broken one. You are now the cradle, you are now the storm. You look at the box again, the infant who stepped through the cracked sky. It was never looking for a mother, it was looking for a vessel. And it found you, the heat coils in your abdomen. Flickering like fetal lightning, Your lungs ache as lullabies you've never heard begin humming beneath your breath. Your heartbeat slows not from fatigue, but from gestation. Something is growing inside you. Not a child, a song, and it wants to be born. The scroll around your wrist tightens again. The ink begins to smoke. You fall to your knees as lullabies swarm the walls, crawling like silver spiders, weaving your name into the architecture. You are in the final stanza now, and it's still writing itself. The scroll on your wrist unravels, strand by strand, as if undone by unseen fingers. Each strip of parchment slithers across your skin, threading itself through your pores. Winding beneath your flesh, the pain is not pain, it's recognition. The way a bell knows the hammer, the way a mouth knows its last word. You are being rewritten. You try to scream, but the sound gets caught in your throat, stuck like a lullaby lodged too deep. Instead, a whisper spills from your lips. The words are ancient, predating stars. You don't know the tongue. Stitched from funeral veils and teething cloth, milk leaks from her eyes. She steps toward you, cradle straps dangling from her fingers like leash. She speaks, but not in words. The black psalm of Vorthur echoes within the chamber and within your marrow. A hymn once sung to silence the first storm. A melody forbidden in every realm but the womb of the end. You are ready. She does not say you are hollow enough now. From beneath the altar, the infant thing, your shadow child, emerges. It no longer crawls, it levitates, its limbs trail after images. Its skull pulses with unformed eyes. Its mouth remains shut, but its lullaby leaks from your own lips now, a duet sung in despair and blood. You try to drop the rattle, but your hand no longer belongs to you. It belongs to the lullaby, and the lullaby wants to be louder. The wet nurse beckons with one stitched hand. You take a step. Behind you, the rattling intensifies. You don't remember when the cradles began to rock themselves, or when the names engraved into each one began to bleed. Each cradle belongs to a story that ended in silence. Each one holds the bones of a child whose lullaby failed to end in sleep. The Queen's lullaby was never for comfort. It was a signal. And now, they've all heard it. A slow, scraping sound fills the cathedral, wood against stone. Tiny coffin wheels dragging themselves forward. The cradles are approaching, hundreds of them. Rocking, bleeding, singing, you turn to run, but the pews of the scriptorium have melted into rows of nursery chairs, their backs carved into screaming cherubs. The parchment floor wrinkles beneath your feet like a living scroll. Words form as you step. They tell your story. And they correct your mistakes. You never escaped the lullaby. You never defied the cradle. You only delayed the song's return. And now it's back through you. The wet nurse points to the altar. Your rattle rises. The child thing settles into your arms. It's cold, and it doesn't breathe. Not yet, but it smiles, and you hear the crack in the sky begin to widen again. Not above you this time, within you. Lightning arcs from your spine to the rafters. A dozen lullaby boxes burst open in tandem, releasing clouds of soot that hum with forgotten names. The Queen's voice surrounds you, not her speaking, but her remembering. You will carry it to the next world. You will sing until the stars shut their eyes. You will be mother, mourner, messenger. You try to deny her, to scream no, but your mouth is full of feathers. Charred, ash-laced, oily things that used to belong to lullabies. The wet nurse cradles your face. And for one moment, just when you feel warm, not safe, just remembered, then the cradles collide. The children within what remains of them clamber over each other, teeth glinting, lullabies reversed and spliced with laughter. One has a harp strung with vocal cords, another drags a mobile made of knuckle bones that drip with honeyed blood. And all of them want you because they think you are the Queen, because the song lives in you now. And that makes you fair game. You run, not out of fear, but because something inside you wants to see what happens next, and that part scares you the most. The scriptorium closes behind you with the sound of a page turning. Your name echoes down the hallway. Not your birth name, not your real name. But The one written in the blood scroll. The one the queen sang once before the sky broke, and before you answered. The hull uncoils ahead like the spine of some buried titan, vertebrae pressed into archways. Each vertebra humming with residual lullabies. The walls breathe. Not metaphorically, they inhale long and wet, then exhale a breath laced with cradle rot and singed lace. You move faster. Behind you, the cradles screech across the parchment tiles. Their wheels grind bone dust. Their lullabies harmonize off-key, off-rhythm, off-planet. One verse promises love. The next verse promises marrow. You find a door. It opens before you touch it. Of course it does. The chamber inside is circular. Its ceiling far too high, lost in a fog of floating mobiles. Each mobile spins slowly, hung with tiny effigies, tongues stitched from rosary beads, glass eyes still twitching, fingers carved from waxy hymnals. At the center is a crib. It rocks empty. No, not empty, occupied by absence. The shape of something once there, the outline burned into the mattress like a memory seared into fabric. You lean close and... The mattress screams, a child's voice. Hoarse and ancient ... It knows your name. No, not your name, the Queen's. You've begun answering to it. Your spine tightens, your rattle hand shakes. You reach for your ear and pull out a length of lullaby thread coiled like a centipede, still humming the opening notes of that damned song. Something is inside you now. Worse, it feels natural. You move to the far wall, lined with dozens of infant gowns, each stitched from regret. Each one bears a tag with a date that hasn't happened yet, and one of them has your birthday. It's still worn. A cradle in the corner tips over. From beneath it, something drags itself out, a figure small enough to be mistaken for a doll, but shaped like a memory you tried to drown. Its mouth is sewn shut. Its eyes are your own. It drags behind it a blanket stitched from your baby teeth. It doesn't move fast, but it doesn't have to. Every time you blink, it's closer. The mobiles above slow their spin. One of them breaks its loop and begins descending, gently spiraling toward you. It hangs inches from your face. Its ornaments whisper, "She left us. She cracked the sky." You sang with her tongue. You try to back away. But your legs are rooted. The floor is milk. Clotted, congealed, faintly steaming. Your boots sink. You smell copper and cradle wine. The doll reaches your feet. It climbs. Its fingers leave rust behind. It rests its stitched face against your chest. And you hear it breathing through you. You fall to your knees. The milk gurgles around you. The mobiles drift lower now, encircling your body like a cradle of their own. They don't spin anymore. They lean. They watch. The doll unthreads one stitch at a time from its mouth. Each thread drops like a bell toll. 1, 2, 3, then the mouth opens. And it speaks in your voice, from a version of you that never left the nursery. We remember the Queen. We remember the lullaby. We remember you. The crib behind you slams shut. You didn't hear it open. Unfortunately, you now understand. It sings of ascension, of wombs turned altars, of you. You open the next door not with your hand, but with the weight of your presence. The door recognizes what you've become. The next corridor is narrow. The walls are lined with swaddling clothes. They twitch. The lights above are shaped like pacifiers dipped in blood wax. You walk beneath them, and they pulse. Once for every name you've forgotten. Once for every name they remember for you ahead. The hallway splits. Left, a mobile of tongues. They chant. Right, a mobile of ears. They listen. You choose neither. You move forward. Into the unmarked path, where the floor is not stone, but spines cracked, stacked, still whispering lullabies in bone chime rhythm. And the sky, you look up. There is no ceiling. Only the crack, wider now. And something is watching through it. Something with teeth. The crack in the sky winks. You shouldn't know what that means. But you do. It's a kind of acknowledgement. A smile if skyfishers could smile, curved wide and rimmed with tiny stars that pulse like molars under translucent gums. The hallway of spines crunches beneath your step, each vertebra humming a note from the lullaby in reverse. A backward cradle song, unraveling memory. You forget your last breath, your birth date, the names of anyone who didn't weep blood when they said goodbye. Above, the crack spreads. Then celestial tendrils droop down, like umbilical cords seeking purchase. You duck instinctively. Good. That instinct might save you. Once. The path ahead glows faintly, a door, shaped not from wood but from breath held too long. It exhales as you approach, moist air curling into letters that write and unwrite themselves. You read anyway. The child queen ascends. She sings in your mouth now. It's not a warning. It's a coronation. You step through. The room you enter should not exist, and it doesn't. Not in any faithful architecture. It was added by prayer denied and blueprints inked in regret. Its corners slope upward. Its ceiling spins like a music box lid, and all four walls are lined with mirrors. Each mirror reflects a version of you cradling someone smaller. A child, a doll, a corpse, none of them blink. You look down, your arms are empty, but they feel full. You're rocking nothing. A mirror near the back flickers, then ripples, then shatters. The shards fall backward into the reflection. You step toward it, and the air changes. Your breath fogs, only yours, not the mirror's. Not the floor's, just you. The mirror's frame is pulsing, wood warped with something that resembles heartbeat and weeping varnish. You hear singing, a lullaby, too familiar. The words stain your mind, sleep in bone, in marrow's hold, where flesh forgot what cradle told. Sky shall crack, and we'll begin. When mother's mouth is sung from within, your throat tightens. Not from emotion, from stitching. You touch your neck, thread, red and slick. You pull and unravel your last promise. The mirror glows. Inside it is a nursery of glass and bile. Rocking chairs hover off the ground. Mobiles drip melted teeth. And in the center, asleep and glowing, is a child wrapped in your shadow. It snores like thunderclouds being born. You touch the glass, your fingers vanish through. You follow, instant vertigo, instant dread. The air here tastes like the moments before lightning. The child opens one eye, not both, just one. It's white, glazed, familiar. It speaks. You left. You try to respond. Your voice doesn't arrive. The child sits up. It clutches a scroll. Not parchment, skin, the kind that remembers pain. On its surface, your name, then another and another. Names scratched in with lullaby lyrics. You know this scroll. This is the blood scroll. But this one is shorter. It's not finished. The child offers it to you. Its hand is bleeding. Not from a wound, from writing. Writing itself hurts. You take the scroll. The blood on it recognizes your fingerprints. It sizzles, accepts you, binds to you. The child fades. Not like a ghost, like a page being turned. The nursery crumples inward. The floor folds into itself, becomes pages. You stand in the middle of an unwritten book, and the ink bottle beside you is full, not with ink, with lullaby. The walls whisper, finish it. You raise the scroll. The sky crack above screams once short and delighted. You write. The first word, begin. And the whole page screams from the inside. The lullaby inside you turns sour. You taste iron and ash. Your handwriting splits the floor. You've written a door. And it's opening. The child, what's left of it, crawls from beneath the scroll. Its fingers are bones. Its bones are quills. It whispers. One more page, you oblige. Because you were always going to. Because the scroll isn't complete without your voice. And you're learning how to scream beautifully. The mirrors behind you crack, but none shatter. They hold your reflection like a vice. And in each, your face is younger now, hungrier, wearing a crown of lullabies and bone threads. The scroll rolls itself shut. The crown tightens. You're ready for the next chamber. The next note, the next answer from the crack. You walk toward the screen-shaped door, and behind you, The mirrors keep singing, backwards. The screen-shaped door yawns open, not with sound, but with suction. Air, warmth, memory all pulled toward its impossible dark. You, too, are tugged forward, your feet dragging across the nursery's evaporating floor. Each step erases where you've been. You can't go back. You're not even sure if you ever arrived. The scroll writhes in your hand. Still bleeding faintly, you don't read it, not now. Reading it too soon is how the last archivist went blind in both ears. The corridor beyond is wide. Black marble veined with something too warm to be stone. The walls breathe. You hear it now, a choir, soft and inverted, voices stitched together in a hymn that shouldn't rhyme. And doesn't, but you feel the harmony behind the dissonance. Like teeth fitting too neatly into an old wound, a plaque greets you overhead. Bolt of the unbaptized echo, you pass beneath it. You wish you hadn't. Instantly, you feel like you've been hurt by something that shouldn't listen. By something that listens only when no one is speaking. The air turns syrupy, not thick, not sweet. Remembered, every breath now is one you've taken before. The corridor winds, but not left or right. It spirals. Like a staircase drawn in a nightmare by someone who never believed in geometry. The walls tilt. The floor pulses. Something is wrong with the gravity. It tugs not toward the ground, but toward the past. And the choir grows louder. The song is composed of children's voices, not all in key. Some are not even fully formed. You swear one of the notes gurgles. You turn a corner, and there they are, 20 cribs. Suspended above the ground by threads of vocal cord. Each crib contains a wax doll. Each doll is shaped like a child until you blink. Then they're shaped like you. Again, this keeps happening. One of the dolls is holding something. The lullaby from before, but the tune is broken, skipping. Like a record scratched by too many screams. You step closer, and the doll's mouth opens. It sings, but not in words. The sound is color. The color is pain. You remember it. It's your mother's cry the day you forgot her name. You stagger back. The other dolls open their mouths. Together, they sing the lullaby. Only one word repeats, return. Your hands tremble. You didn't come here by mistake. You came because of what you forgot. What the blood scroll erased to make room for its song. Each step forward is a page you lost. Each breath forward is a lie you told yourself so the lullaby wouldn't rot your tongue. You look up, a shadow descends from the ceiling. It's shaped like a nun, but its habit is moths. Its face is parchment, its hands are mirrors. She gestures, one finger, one doll. You approach it. This one isn't wax. It's flesh, breathing. Barely, you reach toward it. The scroll twitches. Then screams. You scream with it. The doll opens its eyes. They are mirrors. You see yourself again young, curled on a pew, trying to hum the song you were told never to sing aloud. The nun speaks no sound. Just parchment tearing, but you understand. She cracked the sky because she had no cradle. The scroll bursts open. New pages, fresh skin. Your skin? Your childhood returns only to peel away again. You scream. The choir responds with a round of giggles. Dissonant, delightful. Drowning, you drop the scroll. It hovers. Like it prefers to be watched now, the nun vanishes in a swirl of moths. The room grows cold, then colder. You hear her voice again, the queen. Finish the lullaby, or I'll begin another. You understand the thread. You pick up the scroll. The ink inside your veins burns again. You hum a note, just one. The cribs fall silent. The dolls rot instantly except the last. That one smiles and speaks. I remember you. You don't answer. You don't need to. The scroll flips to a blank page. The wine behind you returns. It smells like your father's funeral and your first birthday. Same day, you step forward. The vault closes, the choir fades, but one note lingers. Sharp, final, incomplete. You, the floor beneath your feet dissolves into dust, but you do not fall. You drift not upward, not down, but deeper. as if location itself has decided to stop pretending to be real. The scroll clutches your palm like a heartbeat now. Hot, relentless, the note lingers still. That final, sharp tone from the last crib, it's not fading, it's following. You land without impact on something that should be stone but breathes like lung tissue. The chamber you enter is round, cathedral-like, lined with choir stalls carved from calcified tongues. No doors, no ceiling, just echo. Welcome to the chorus spine, the bone hall where lullabies are dissected and sung backward until their meaning bleeds out. In the center of the chamber is a music stand fashioned from a ribcage. On it, a tattered folio. One page, written in sinew, the lullaby. But not the one the Queen sang. This one is older. The precursor hymn, its first note shudders in your skull. You didn't read it, you just looked at it. The chamber inhales. You clutch your head because the voice that begins to sing is yours. And you cannot stop, no matter how many times you bite your tongue, no matter how deep your nails dig into your throat, you keep singing. It's not possession, it's memory, something you sang once to something below the sky, something that answered. This is the moment the scribes of Vortha refused to record. The verse that never reached the blood scroll's final page. The archivists feared what it described, not just the Queen's lullaby, but who taught her to sing. Your voice grows ragged. Not from pain, but from transmutation. It begins to echo in octaves that don't exist. Stone weeps, the air vibrates like violin gut string. The scroll unfurls beside you, glowing from within, pages turning by themselves. Faster and faster, until it stops on a name, your name, but wrong. Spelled like a curse, the ink oozes upward into your eyes. And then you remember not your life, your first death, the crib of brass, the midnight baptism in pitch. The nuns who fed you silence on spoons, the lullaby's chorus carved into the roof of your mouth. The sky cracked because it heard you sing it backwards. And it wasn't her voice that brought the answerer. It was yours. The Queen was only the echo. The chamber lights up. Thousands of parchment faces line the walls watching you, mouths open in static screams. These were the singers who tried to contain the hymn before you. They didn't survive, not really. Their echoes exist only to dampen yours. You press your hand to the ribcage stand. The bone hums with sympathy. One final bar appears on the page. It's not music, it's a door, carved into the air you step through. The sky greets you with a sound you've never heard, silence. But it isn't empty, it's waiting. You're not under the sky anymore, you're inside it. And it is soft, like the lining of a throat. You stand atop clouds that throb faintly beneath you. Stars blink like lidless eyes, constellations spell unkind riddles. The scroll hovers beside you, open, demanding. A lullaby cracks again behind you. Not the Queen's, not yours, another. The answerer is singing now, it's learning your voice. You can't let it finish. The scroll turns blank again, its final offering. Your lullaby, your silence, your choice. One word writes itself across the sky's inner dome, sing, and you do. But not alone, the Queen joins. The children join, the moth nun joins. The scroll itself joins, and the answerer. It listens and laughs, the world changes key. And you finally understand. The lullaby was never meant to soothe, it was always a summons. The sky's laughter is low at first, like thunder hiding beneath cathedral bells. Then it splits into chords no throat should birth. You flinch as your ribs vibrate, not from the sound, but from recognition. It remembers you. That's the real horror, isn't it? The answerer wasn't summoned, it was waiting for someone who would remember how the lullaby ends. You were always its echo, never its victim. That's why the blood refused to dry on your palms, why the scroll read you before you read it. You were not chosen, you were returned. The clouds beneath you part, curling back like wet linen, revealing something below, not land, not stars. A library, endless shelves rising from the void, each made from spine some human, some vastly older. Books chained shut with jawbones, tomes that breathe through the gaps in their bindings, scrolls with teeth instead of seals. Welcome to the Cantor Vault, the true archive. And it's built inside the throat of the Answerer. You descend without falling. The scroll beside you burns itself to ash, page by page, as if its task is complete. You almost believe you're free. But something clings, a taste in your mouth. Ash and milk and marrow. You remember that from somewhere from before. The shelves shudder as you pass, whispering your name correctly. This time, the way only dead things can pronounce it. Their spines arch slightly in your presence, like books bowing. At the vault's center is a pedestal made from fused jawbones, 3 adult, 1 child. A single book lies open atop it. Its cover is a preserved lung. You recognize the script inside. You wrote it. Or someone wearing your shape did. The title reads, The Final Lullaby, harmonized for a listening sky. You reach to touch it, but a second hand stops yours. It's black, gnarled, and wet with ink. A figure stands beside you, hooded. No face, no voice, but you know it. The Archcantor, the first to teach the lullaby. Its presence drains temperature from the vault. Its sleeve lifts again. It wants you to read the next line aloud. You hesitate, not because of fear, because it's written in your handwriting. And the words weren't there before. The Archcantor tilts its hood, expectant. So you do it, you read, and the vault sings. Every book, every scroll, every bound breath, every silenced priest. They join in a single note that bleeds. Your skin tears not from pain, but to release sound. Music escapes you like blood under pressure. You are becoming part of the archive, a page, note. A verse in the Black Psalm of Vorther. You don't resist, because somewhere, beyond the pages, beyond the sky, beyond the screen-shaped stars, you hear her, the Queen. She is not dead, she is still singing, still holding the final refrain. Waiting for your harmony, and you're late. The Archcantor bows, its job is done. You take the lung-bound book in both hands. It doesn't resist you now. You sing the next line. The vault answers, and far above, in the cracks of a sky that no longer believes in silence, something begins to open, something that hears, something that remembers your voice, and this time, it sings back. The moment the vault echoes your voice, time fractures not as a concept, but as a substance. You see it in the air around you. Veins of ruptured memory bleeding across the atmosphere like cracks in smoked glass. Each second shatters differently. One drips upward, another freezes in your throat. A third burrows into your thoughts and begins whispering its origin. This was the hour your tongue was born, a lie, surely. And yet you remember tasting blood before you learned the word for it. The Archcantor is gone, or folded, or singing somewhere inside your lungs now. It doesn't matter, the vault lives without it. Turning pages by breath alone, each tome gasps when opened, exhales silence when closed. But the scrolls, oh, the scrolls they scream, coiled in the walls like resting serpents. They unwind only for those who forget their names. You are not one of them, not yet. But you walk deeper, and the vault begins to test your resolve. You pass the red aisle, where a scholar's bones were inked into margins by mistake. Then the psaltery stair, each step singing a note that didn't exist before you heard it. And finally, the vocal grove where the trees are spinal columns, and their leaves murmur things your ears cannot hold. Something stalks you here, not a beast, not a librarian, a concept, one that wears familiarity like a cloak. It takes the shape of those you've left behind, friends, enemies, lovers long dead or long imagined. It reaches through bookshelves and sighs their names at you. Don't answer, you know what happens if you do. It's said in the Black Psalm of Vorther. When the archive asks who you were, lie. When it asks who you are, weep. When it asks who you'll become, run. You don't run, you reach the spoken altar. A platform of fused vertebrae and shattered hymnals. On it stands a voice box. Not metaphorical or literal, carved organ of speech, removed from a divine throat. It breathes, though no air moves. The answer to the Queen's lullaby lies here. You feel it now. You hear it before it happens, a phrase formed not of words, but of the silence between syllables. The reply, the thing that cracked the sky when she sang. The thing that answered back. It has waited too long. It is hungry for chorus. You kneel. Not from reverence, but gravity. The vault's weight pulls at your bones now. Wants them for its shelves, wants your voice for its song. You lean close to the voice box. It hums, your teeth rattle, your jaw locks. You try to pull back, you can't. The hum speaks in your own pitch. It's not waiting for you to answer. It already has your voice, and it's using it. Whispers pour from the box in your cadence. She cracked the sky because he was listening. He who swallowed dawn to dream in shadow. He who hummed in infant lungs. He who kissed the Queen's ear and told her she would never die, only echo. You've heard those words before. They were in your lullabies. You thought they were metaphor. They weren't. They were a map. The Queen's song wasn't a plea. It was a summons. And you, dear listener, sweet archivist, reluctant witness, you were always the messenger. The voice box opens, not with hinges, with lips. A terrible, bone-lined mouth splitting across the altar. It wants you to complete the chord, say the next line, surrender your voice for just one verse. You feel the final line forming in your throat. Don't speak, don't, but you do. You always do, you always did, and above you, far beyond the vault, the clouds ripple outward in concentric rings, as if something massive is listening now. And breathing deeper, it begins with an inhalation. Not yours, not anyone's, really. The sky itself draws breath long and hollow, like air being sucked through a cathedral's dying lungs. You feel it in your spine, in your ribs, in the roots of your teeth. The vault's walls shudder, not with fear, but with anticipation. The voice box seals shut again, trembling with satisfaction, and the altar beneath you flexes as though made of cartilage instead of stone. Something has heard, and worse. Something has answered. ... above you. Reality stretches. You don't see it with your eyes, not exactly. But through every reflection puddles, glass shards, the glaze on forgotten paintings, you glimpse a fracture line carving its way across the firmament. From horizon to crown, the world is unzipping. You remember now, the Black Psalm of Vorther warned of this. She sang him open, he sang her hollow. Together, they filled the wound with music. The lullaby was never for comfort. It was a key. You step away from the altar, but the floor moves with you, stretching like flesh rather than stone. It keeps you tethered to the box, like umbilical sinew, like stage curtains that refuse to close. All around you, the vault reacts, scrolls tremble in their tubes. Books clatter open of their own accord. Choral harmonics echo through the architecture, each echo carrying a different language, none of them human, all of them sung in your voice. Even the silence between verses is now haunted. You pass the chamber of unremembering, where the Queen's cradle once stood. A hexagonal dais carved from tombstone shards, and a mobile dangling above it made of vertebrae. She learned the lullaby here. The bones still hum when you approach. They remember her pitch. They remember you. You see etchings in the stone behind the cradle. A scratched-in lullaby stanza you almost recognize. Sleep, my bone burn, dreamless and deep. What sings your name will never sleep. The sky's your shell, the void your crib, and when you wake, the world will rip. You try to blink it away, but it remains. You try to hum another tune, but that same melody crawls back into your breath. The vault wants only one song now. The children used to whisper it to one another in secret, didn't they? You passed them once in the listening galleries, barefoot, bruised, mouthing the lyrics with their teeth clamped shut. You thought they were playing. They were praying. They were rehearsing. A thunderclap splits the air, except it doesn't sound like thunder. It sounds like a choir gasping at once, ... then silence. Then the vault ceiling peels. You don't see stars beyond it. Only pupil, one and blinking, mile wide. And as it widens further, you feel yourself begin to float. No, not upward, not exactly. The floor beneath you is just gone now. And in its place, a chasm of sound, woven together by every name ever whispered in sorrow, your name among them, spoken again and again in 1,000 dying voices. You fall into it and land, somehow, on pages. Massive ones, leather thick. Text etched in blood and something that steams. It's a book, a living one, a blood scroll. You stand upon its final chapter. And it is blank, waiting, no quill, no ink. Just a single phrase scorched into the bottom margin. The next note must be carved from within. You touch your chest, something stirs beneath your ribs. A warmth that isn't yours. A melody curling up your esophagus like a parasite. Don't sing. Don't, but again, you always do, because that's what the Queen taught you. Because the sky cracked once, and she needed you to finish what she started. Because the creature above whatever it is has always loved lullabies. And it waits to hear yours, it listens. You're not sure how you know that, but you do deeply, viscerally, the way a hare knows the hawk is watching, even through clouds. The pupil in the sky dilates, not wider, deeper. It peers inward now, not downward, as though tunneling through your song and into your marrow. It hears your voice, yes, but it also hears what lies beneath it. Intent, and it likes what it finds. The vault around you peels away, as if sloughed off like shed skin, not destroyed, no, preserved, and simply made irrelevant. You are now within a different structure entirely, the interior of something unbuilt. A cathedral designed only in dreams, whose stained glass windows depict events that haven't yet occurred. You see yourself on those windows, you see your death, your deaths, plural layered one over the other like vellum, endlessly re-rendered. You never die the same way twice, but you always sing. The song no longer uses your throat, it uses your shadow. It hisses from the edges of your silhouette, curling like steam from a dying hearth. It wraps around the lines of the living scroll beneath your feet, and the words appear. They do not write themselves in ink, they scar the page open. She cracked the sky, you bled it clean. The lullaby is the blade is the lullaby. The scroll begins to bleed where the stanzas emerge. Not red, not black, a color that makes your teeth ache just to witness. The book reacts, it begins to turn itself. The pages rise and fall like breaths, each one a memory, each one a sacrifice. You catch glimpses, a choir boy whose voice box grows thorns. A scribe with inkless eyes whispering down a well. The Queen again, younger now, before the lullaby was taught to her, holding something swaddled in chainmail instead of cloth, your own hands. Slicing parchment from a living monk whose name you forget but whose scream you remember. The page turns again, you try to look away, you fail. This is the blood scroll's nature, it does not teach. It reminds, because all who read it have helped write it. Even you, especially you, another page turns, another verse. If the sky was her wound, you are its suture, close it, or open it, the scream will echo either way. You are no longer standing, the scroll has folded inward, cradling you. Like a womb, like a tomb, both really. The eye above begins to narrow. Its gaze was never curiosity. It was judgment, and judgment has been passed. A tone rises from the pages, a droning harmony built on vowels not made for the human tongue. You recognize it anyway. You sang it first, remember. Or maybe she did, the Queen, the Mother. The voice before all, they were the same, weren't they? The vault whispers, yes. Something begins to descend from the sky, not the pupil it remains watching. But a tether, like an umbilical bridge made of braided sound and gnashing silence, it winds its way down, and you realize it's offering, not salvation, succession. The Queen has cracked the sky, you have rewritten the hymn. Now the scroll must be bound again, and it needs a skin. Not just any skin, a priests, a singers, a scribes, all of which you have become. You glance to your arm, you expect fear, you find acceptance. Because somewhere along the way, you stopped resisting. Somewhere in the Lullaby's third verse, your name disappeared, replaced by a title. The one etched on the scroll's binding, you trace the letters. You already know what they say, Vocalus Ultima. The last voice, the scroll stirs, it flattens up once more, the wind from its motion slicing the air like a choir of razors. Your shadow stretches, the sky pulses. And somewhere deep below it all, far beneath bone and blood and prayer and page, something begins to open its mouth. The mouth yawns wide, toothless, endless. You do not fall into it, you are drawn. Dragged like ink across skin, slow and deliberate. Your body feels light, distant, no longer yours in the way bones belong to flesh. You drift. Spine first, arms extended like penitent wings, toward the waiting void between its lips. It smells like memory, and rot, and lullabies. There is no ground in this place, no ceiling, only page. You land gently, though the scream your body makes is not your own. It belongs to 100 throats, each of them yours from lifetimes ago. They die again in unison as your feet touch the parchment floor. The scroll is unspooling itself now, miles and miles of red-veined vellum, inscribed with forgotten fates and unforgiven names. Every step forward disturbs the dust of words that were too dangerous to speak aloud. Some of them twitch, some whisper, some bite. But none stop you, they recognize you. You are no longer just reader or writer, you are ink. The tether that brought you here snakes upward still, now glowing with a dreadful cadence, one beat for every vow broken in blood. Your heart keeps time, your mouth opens, but your voice does not rise. Instead, hers does, the queen. Her lullaby flows through your throat like molten silver burning, shaping, sanctifying. It etches itself into your teeth, your tongue, your windpipe. The scroll beneath your feet begins to hum. It remembers her, of course it does. She cracked the sky to give it breath, but it needed a body. And that's where you come in. You step forward. Each movement refines a piece of the scroll into your limbs, calf to paragraph, thigh to stanza, rib to refrain. 1,000 syllables lace through your veins like ivy grown from catacombs. You're not bleeding, you're becoming. The voice grows louder. She is singing to you now, not through you. Her voice winds down the tether like a lullaby meant for a very old, very tired child. She calls you by name, no, by title, Vocalus Ultima. The last voice, you raise your hand. The scroll responds, it arches upward, like a beast rearing its head. Glyphs shimmer across the parchment sky. Some of them are in languages never born, others in screams that have no throat. You understand all of them now. You could unwrite kings with a whisper. You could silence entire histories with a sigh. You could sing the world shut, and yet the scroll is not complete. There is a gap, the final stanza yet unwritten. And for that ... there must be a sacrifice. The tether pulses, you look up, the eye above is watching. It has always been watching, not judging. As you once thought, hoping, it waits for the final line. It waits to see if the scroll is worthy of binding. You reach inside yourself. You pull out your final breath, not air, but tone. It flutters in your palm like a wounded bird. You press it to the parchment. It melts into ink. The scroll shudders. It does not burn. It weeps. Her voice ended the world. Yours begins it anew. Sing, then let the sky split again. The eye closes, not in anger, not in horror, in peace. Above, the sky heals itself slowly, as though stitched by silence. But below, the scroll binds, and you vanish beneath it, no trace, only music. A new lullaby echoes into the air. No one sings it, but everyone hears, and somewhere, not far from here, a child hums it in her sleep, curling in a cradle made of bone and memory. You planted that seed, now wait, the next verse is already growing. The scroll has bound you, but not fully. Your body dissolved into ink, yes, but something remained, a sliver. A fingernail's edge of thought, anchored deep within the scroll's marrow. You drift now through its sentences like a ghost in a library no one built, brushing against metaphors too sharp to touch and adverbs that bleed when pronounced aloud. You are not the first to write yourself inside it. You are, however, the last. Others drift with you, half-formed faces stitched into the punctuation, screaming ellipses, grinning commas. A priest's weeping eye embedded in a forgotten footnote. They do not speak, not with words. But the intent is clear. They envy you. You became what they could not. You made it to the final line. And that gives you dominion. You test it, whisper a name. The scroll folds. You sigh somewhere. A cathedral crumbles. The thought, what if you screamed? The answer pulses in your bones before you can voice it. Cities, oceans, blood, silence. A scream would be the end of language itself. The last syllable to ever exist, and worse, the first to be remembered. No, you choose restraint, for now. The Queen's voice returns, softer now. Fading like breath on a frostbitten window, you can feel her unraveling to sacrificed, as you were to birth the scroll into flesh. That was always her plan. You were her vessel, not her heir. A womb of words. You could be bitter. You aren't. You are complete. The tether above is gone. The sky is whole. But here below, deep inside the scroll, it unfolds. A map, almost, but not of any land you know. It's a topography of emotion, of screams long held and secrets still buried in unmarked graves. You trace one of the winding red veins with your ink fingers. It pulses. At the end of it, a door, your final door. You press your palm against the idea of it. It opens with the sound of a candle going out. Behind it, a study. You know it instantly. You have dreamed of it, sat within it. You've even died in it, once in a different story. The shelves are made of antler bone. The books breathe. The dusk is bleeding ink from its corners like it's exhaling, and in the center, bound in scarlet ribbon, lies the scroll. You, or rather, what you've become. You step toward it, the room watches, the books tilt slightly in anticipation. Your footsteps print short phrases behind you, fragments of who you were once. ... trembled before the altar of her voice. Double quotes ... dreamed of silence, but feared it ... named by screams. And made by lullabies, each footstep writes itself into history. No quill, no inkpot, just intention. You kneel before the scroll. Bow your head. Wait, you know what comes next. The archivist arrives. Of course they do. No face, no voice, no shadow, but they have presence. Their cloak is stitched from readers' regrets. Their hands smell of burnt vellum and failed prayers. They do not speak. They only turn the page. And you write. You don't remember beginning. You don't remember thinking. You simply are the act of transcription now. And the scroll, your body accepts it eagerly. This is what it always wanted. Not a weapon. Not a relic. A recorder. Not of what was. But of what must never be again. You understand. Your last line trembles beneath your fingers. You pose, a flicker of rebellion, of mercy, of ego. You don't know, but the ink waits, and finally. You give it everything. You write the final word. It doesn't resemble any tongue you know, not in sound, not in shape, but your hand knows how to shape it, as if your bones were carved to form its curves. When the tip of your finger finishes the last stroke, the ink shudders. The scroll sighs, the room, if that's still what this is, holds its breath. And then it begins to rain inside pages falling from nowhere, fluttering like broken wings. Some are blank, others whisper your name with every flutter. A few land near your feet. One lands in your open palm and burns like a candle, leaving behind no ash, only warmth. The archivist nods once, or perhaps they vanish. It's hard to tell, because now comes the part they don't tell you. You are not released. You are not erased. You are remembered. That is your final curse. Your voice now lives in every copy of the scroll that has ever existed and will ever exist. A child who finds a page tucked under their pillow. You'll murmur to them in your sleep-profen voice. A mad monk who inks your passage on a cathedral wall in blood. You'll guide his quill when the seizures hit. A warlord who tattoos your verses into his chest. You'll whisper strategies in iambic couplets. And someday, someone will hum your story like a lullaby. And the sky will crack again, because the scroll was never about knowledge. It was about recursion, a scream that births another scream. A song that ends only when everyone who has ever heard it forgets how to listen. And that is why you exist, to remind them. You look down, your body is gone. Your breath gone, your voice gone, but your echo remains. It glides through the spaces between paragraphs. It hides in the curled corners of old books. It waits, not patiently but quietly. And when the reader finds this final line, when they realize they've been speaking you aloud, syllable by syllable, you will awaken again, you always do. And this time, you'll remember them, by name, the candle gutters. Its flame does not go out, it simply stops existing, as if someone edited its presence from reality. The dark between the pages stirs. It always does, just before the bindings loosen, if you've made it this far. Listener, if your ears haven't turned to ink and your skin hasn't itched itself into text, congratulations. You're not alive, but you are written. That's enough sometimes. What you've heard tonight, it's not a story, it's a mirror. Cracked, bleeding at the edges, smeared with forgotten prayers and fingernail scratches, but a mirror nonetheless. You saw your shape in it, didn't you? Bent and lovely and ruined. Good. The scroll remembers all who listen, all who linger, all who whisper the Queen's lullaby to themselves, thinking they're alone. You're not alone. You never were. You're archived now, one more voice in the margins. So go on, then, close your eyes. They'll watch for you. They always do.